I think it just gets really lost on, especially police officers in this modern policing militarization era, that like your job is actually at its core customer service. It's citizen service. And outside of a couple wacky incidents, I can't imagine scenarios where people get harmed and shot and killed by groups of people that are supposed to be serving them and trying to figure it out. And I just don't, to me, it's just such a tragedy. And we're talking about a major metro area with 500,000 residents that had the tools available to them, and they made conscious decisions not to use them. And we might be having a different conversation if somebody qualified to make a determination as to what the issue was had been at least invited to the scene to do their job. Sure, somebody who's acting a certain way might look like methamphetamine. It also might be that they're off their medication. They might have some mental health disorder that just manifested right now. We don't have any way of knowing. We don't just shoot them and try to figure it out later.
And you and I talked about this, James, before we went live on the recording, but police officers have a difficult job. You know that better than I do, but I think that we oftentimes make police officers' jobs way more difficult than they should be. Police officers should not have been the one responding to a mental health. We should have been diverting those resources to these alternative programs I mentioned, which have a 100% success rate. We should not be sending lone officers with nothing but a couple taser shots and a gun attached to their hip to deal with these crises when we know they have a horrible track record of doing that. So, I mean, if anyone were going to say, how do we solve these in the future? The answer is police chiefs who are serious about protecting their officers and their communities should not keep on going to the city council and saying, we want as much money as possible to buy new Suburbans, new tanks, a lot more guns, hire a lot more officers. They should be saying, you need to take some of the money that is normally going to go to hiring more officers who are going to be forced to respond to these calls and divert it to these alternative programs because they work better than my officers do in this specific situation.
And they should also be having to answer some hard questions about why they're not using the resources that they went and squawked to city council and asked for the money to implement. And then they have a call sitting in the CAD for hours and they don't implement those things that the city taxpayer has paid for. The taxpayer has prepaid to avoid outcomes like the one we're talking about. And the other thing is too, and you're right, police officers do have a hard job, but that's also nuanced, right? Albert Maysles famously said, tyranny is the deliberate removal of nuance. Police officers only have a really hard job when they do it the right way. It's really not that hard to just do whatever you want to do, adhere to no standard, and then ask for public sympathy, or they always get the benefit of the doubt, but the benefit of the doubt is supposed to be anchored to the idea that they will conduct themselves to a certain standard. And they always get the benefit of the doubt whether or not they conduct themselves to that standard, and that has to change, or this will never change.
I agree.